Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zach GP channel, and as you can see my OBS is in the way, so let me get it out of the way because at the minute I'm just on my laptop, so there's no second screen I can really use, which is a little bit annoying, but we'll work with what we work with. That is also why you could be seeing me cutting in and out all over the place. If anyone watched the FanApp live stream the other day, you'll know exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi where I'm at right now isn't the best, but you know, I missed the last 2 weekends, so I thought I'd come back on here for a pre-race chat for the F1 Fantasy and just F1 in general, and really go through all of the teams. So I've loaded up most of the teams that we have. I'll get up the live chat once it shows on my iPads because again, it's that whole thing of having one screen up. It's still not showing that I'm live there. Hopefully, I believe I am live. Let me refresh it. But basically, this weekend's gone. Bar the Norris crash, it's gone how I thought it would gone. With McLaren, Haas, Piastri, Russell. My team, 47 points, but looking half decent for budget increases. Then you have the McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri teams. Both 62 and 64 look really good. But again, will Gasly get up enough to that 13 to get that not minus 0.2? A lot of question marks around that, so then it will affect your budget. And then we've also got Terry's Limitless in here as well, because I believe a lot of people would have gone for this Limitless. Maybe Piastri instead, which would have been, so 1 less point from Norris, but then 9 more points. So maths is mathing, maybe 88, 89 points. Yeah, it's adding up to exactly what we thought would happen. Now, hopefully, yes, there we go. I can see my live stream now. Let me get it up so I can see what everyone's saying. Hello, everyone. Yeah, happy Easter to everyone. Happy Easter to you, Rude. And yeah, just how is the whole weekend going for everyone? Because obviously, mine is couldn't have gone much better so far. Obviously, Russell qualifying P3, that's what we needed. Maybe, because I didn't have Mercedes, I say maybe, it probably would have been better for me if Antonelli was more down where, like, Sonoda is. And then we had Sainz, Hamilton, Gasly above. But overall, can't complain. Hey, Meletios, how you doing? I hope your day has been really good. Hey, Biblical. Hey, Biblical. Good to see you in the chat. And yeah, that was the other thing I actually wanted to show as well. Bar the teams and all that malarkey. This was the big question, wasn't it? And so far, Alpine are doing much better than Haas, 7-1. But again, let me feast your eyes on, of course, the required points and stuff. And this is more what I'm worried about, because a lot of people who, and this was one of my big talking points for Haas over Alpine last time. Hey, Michael, how you doing, man? Yeah, I'll get onto the 2 times McLaren shit in a second, because that stuff yeah, there's a few things you could do there, but it's the whole thing of, where did it go? Yeah, so the odds right now for Alpine, 94%, is fine. It's just that 40 points from Haas from Bahrain, unless Alpine score like 10 20 points more than Haas this weekend, which I doubt it, they're probably going to score around 10ish to 15 more points, isn't going to push them ahead of Haas in safety, which is still that's why I like them. So, yeah, Alpine are probably going to get around 15 to 20 points this weekend. Maybe more, depending on what their pit stops are saying, but Haas will probably get around 10ish. Yeah, right. So, hey, everyone. I can instantly see the first question is, let me get over. So, none of those teams. So, obviously, my first team doing chill. It is the question of, do you final fix Norris? Now, my initial thinking is, no. Maybe, what do we think? Because, annoyingly, I don't think I can put any polls on YouTube on the iPad. No, I can't. But, Jeddah, hard to overtake, which would make Norris obviously bad, which is why people want to move away from him. So you could use Piastri, but on the other hand, it is all about risking it in F1 Fantasy. So I could see why you'd want to get rid of Norris, but if Norris got up to P4, P3, Look, yeah, like Michael said, I still think he'll make it to P4. Let's be generous. Say he gets up to P4. So let's say Piastri, for now, wins the race. Probably doesn't get driver of the day because we know what that's like. The winner never gets driver of the day, which is some BS. So let's say Piastri ends on 1 overtake, 1 position gain. So that's 2. So 11 points with the 25. 36 points. If Norris comes from 10th to P4, that is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So 6 overtakes plus 6 positions gained. That's 12 points there. Knowing what people are like, he would potentially get driver of the day as well, plus an extra 10 points. So that is now 22 extra points. So he's now on 23. And then what else could he get? I guess depending on his strategy, because this is the other thing that I want to talk about. Lando has, well, at least this is what I'm thinking for him, where if he starts on hards hoping for a safety car, he could go long, get into that P4-ish area, and then there's potential. I think someone said in the chat for fastest lap, but if he gets fastest lap on driver of the day, yeah, so that's what I was going for. Then that's the issue, where if he ends up getting fastest lap because he's doing a complete different strategy to everyone else, trying to go hards first. I mean, not even just everyone else. If he is the only front runner team that doesn't that goes hard to mediums, then that's how he'd get fastest lap. So there is quite an easy way that he gets similar points to Piastri. But then also, like we said, if Piastri gets race win and driver of the day, you could be in the mud. Right, so let me put it like this. The safe option would be to final fix Norris to Piastri. But if you want to risk it for a chocolate biscuit and go, screw it, I'm sticking with my gut. I want to go with everything I had. I still think Norris can get driver of the day, fastest lap, get up into like a P4-ish area. Then stick with it. I mean, that's the other question. Does Piastri even win? Because if Piastri can't get over Verstappen, then bloody hell, we haven't even spoken about a final fix to Verstappen. I don't think it, but yeah, it's one of those things. Piastri should be driver of the day. Well, that's the issue, isn't it, Captain? Piastri probably should be if he wins the race, but it will probably be given to. I generally do think if Lando gets up to P4, it will probably be given to him. Yeah, this is the other issue, and this is what Terry did as well. So Ravenko says, I went Limitless with Norris on 2 times, hoping he gets fastest lap and driver of the day. Fortunately, I went with Merc, not Ferrari, which most other Limitless users did for the differential. Yeah, so you're still sitting pretty, Ravenko, like points-wise. It's still okay. Yeah, that just 2 times on Norris really does hurt. And yeah, like you mentioned, we're going to really hope that something happens, that Norris can be brought back into it. And then Luke says, hey, Luke, I think I saw you. Yeah. Then with any safety car and the timing of it, which could shake up the field. Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, if you want to risk it, keep with final fix on Norris. But I mean, because it also depends, what sort of teams are you running if you had Norris, bar the Limitless? Because obviously if you've used Limitless, you can't final fix or anything. That's just what you've got to hope for. Because I'm assuming if you've still got Norris, you've got the Norris McLaren Haas builds. And then it's one of those things where it's like, it's not the end of the world because you're still just trying to build budget at least. But right. What else is there for this race? I mean, that's the issue, isn't it? I can't see a lot of the drivers. I can't see many points being given out this weekend. What are we saying? How many overtakes do you think there'll be? I generally could see Piastri overtaking Verstappen, Norris overtaking Gasly, Tsunoda, potentially Hamilton and Sainz. That's about it. Then in the midfield is a bit of a shake-up. Maybe if a few drivers get a good first lap, that's how they'll get your changes, like overtakes and position gains. But bar that, I can't see much else happening, unless there's like a crash or something. Right, Gabson's asked, what's your price change predictions for your team? Right, yeah, go on. I'll have a look at that because obviously I've spoken quite a bit about. I wish I could get rid of my Team 2 and Team 3 on this because I don't bloody use them. Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit worried because it is hard to overtake. That's why I don't think anyone's going to score anything this weekend. Right, so McLaren, 20 points. They're pretty much safe getting that 0.3 million. Haas on 1 point. That's already pretty safe. 0.6. That's 0.9. Piastri, 0.3 million. Pretty much set in the bag with 9 points to his name. He only just has to have a half decent race and he's chilling. So that is 1.2 million. Russell, 8 points. Still a bit away from his 0.1 million, but I think he'll be fine. 1.7. Behrman, it's anyone's guess whether or not he can get 3 points. But you know what? Let's be mean and just say that really everyone struggles to get points. And he can't even get 3 points over here. 0.2, that's 1.9. Hajar, again, just getting 6 points here seems very optimistic. So again, 2.1. Ocon minus that. I would be happy, basically, if I came out of this with around 2 million increase in budget. But that's what I've been talking about this whole time, because teams like McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri, Behrman, Ocon, Bortoleto, or Hajar, all of these teams would be lucky to get out of here with 0.3, 0.6, 0.9, 0.7, 0.9, 1.1. Those sorts of teams would be lucky to get out of there with around 1 million in budget increase / gains. So, yeah, you can see why it's sort of shaping out how I thought, at least budget building wise. If we mess up with Norris here, should we go Limitless in Miami? Well, that's the issue, isn't it? I feel like if you were going to use Limitless in Miami, Norris couldn't have been in the team. Now, it's not a terrible one. I don't think it'd be one that really stops you from using Limitless, but it gets rid of 0.2 million, because I think Norris will still have a good chance to get 0.1 million in Miami, which is completely fine for Limitless, but Piastri would have been the better shout. Are you playing? Yeah, just a drop by for today. Maybe one day I'll do a watch along, but at the minute I'm on holiday, so I'll be watching it in we've got like a games room in this like Airbnb thing, which is like proper dope, and it's got like some crazy stereo system. I quite like it. Quite echoey. That's also why I had issues, because when I first tried to join the Fan Up live stream, the echo was crazy. It was like being in a church, or like a big hall. And so I'll be watching it down there with everyone. What do you think is up with Ferrari this year? Biblical asked. Ferrari doing Ferrari figs. That's all I had to say about them. No, of course not. I just don't think it went to plan, innit? They said they were going for this whole new like design system to themselves. All of this malarkey, innit? Like not going from their 2024 designs, and I think that bit them in the arse. So I'm hoping this doesn't screw them in 2026 as well, because it seems like they've put a lot of effort into 2025 to make Leclerc and Hamilton title contenders, and let's get real, they're basically already out of it. It's come down to Russell as a dark horse, Verstappen as also a dark horse, but potentially in the fight, and then the two McLarens. Hey Reese, just joined. What's the lowdown? So the lowdown is people wondering whether to final fix from Norris to Piastri. The safe thing to do would be the final fix to Piastri. However, if you want to risk it and hope that Norris gets up to like a P4 with driver of the day and fastest lap, which, you know me, I do like risking it for a chocolate biscuit. So if you wanted to risk it, you could do that. Limitless, if you had Norris as a 2 times as well, you're going to be hoping that he does well. Overall, there's not going to be a lot of points. I mean, you can even see at the minute Carlos Sainz is the only B tier driver really scoring big points at the minute, and he's one, if we go back to the budget builder, it just isn't even in the cards, won't be in the cards for Miami no matter how well he does as well. So it's one of those things where we're going to be coming into again Miami, where people like Hajar, Behrman, Ocon, Lawson, Gasly, Albon are going to be the ones that are going to be nice, but again, it's going to be another one where it's just maintaining a lot of the budget. So we'll see what happens. I just do really think the best B tier driver is only going to get probably around 10-ish points. Hey, I could be wrong. If there's a safety car or a DNF or any bollocks like that, then we're pretty chill. Yeah, that's one. I'll get onto that in a second. Did you count 0.6 for Russell? No, Captain. No, I didn't. Russell, I'm counting. So basically, every single B tier asset this weekend, I'm either counting as a minus 0.2 or a plus 0.2. Like, even Behrman, this is how unsure I am of him even being able to get 3 points with how it works. He just has to have a good start. And if he gets that, potentially he could get it. But Behrman, at a push, you could be counting as a 0.6 million increase. But everyone past that, Hadjar, Duon, Alonso, not Bortoletto, of course, Ocon, Lawson, Gasly, I'll all be treating as either 0.2 increases. Well, actually, Hadjar's a 0.2 million increase, and everyone else is minus 0.2, potentially zeros. Minus 0.2, I mean, my bad. So that's my thinking for in how we're going to be dealing with all of these B tier drivers. No final fix, in my opinion, this weekend. Yeah, I mean, go risk it, honestly. Why not? If you'd already risked, right, here's my thinking, right? If you'd risked it already to go Lando Norris as your driver, it's because you saw his free practice results, and we know it's hard to overtake, of course. However, if you thought Norris had pace, you should realistically, he still does, and I'm sure he will get overtaken position gain points. Realistically, you're going to be wanting Verstappen to win the race if you're on Norris, because a lot of people would final fix over to Piastri and not to Verstappen. But that brings me over to the lovely chat who said, so would you final fix Norris to Verstappen? Solid move. And again, I would again say the safe bet is Piastri instead. But again, if you want a differential, Verstappen's not terrible. Does final fix revert? But make sure you remember, though, it's one of those things. Yeah. Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought because Oars put in the chat. If you see his average until Q2, he was the fastest. He's correct. Norris did look like I thought he was going to stick it on pole this whole weekend. From what we've been seeing, I didn't think he'd win the race because I thought he was going to do a proper Lando Norris start. But however, he's done a Lando Norris 2025 qualifying session, which he's getting pretty good at these days, considering how good he used to be at quali. But yeah, sorry, my bad. Like Final Fix revert to the change after the race? Yeah, so Final Fix will, if you bring in Piastri over Norris, what will happen is, like Limitless, your team will revert back to who you had before. And that's also the other issue, actually, because I didn't speak about this before, but if you get off the Norris gravy train, I mean, it's not really a gravy train, is it? You've got to think about it as well. I didn't really actually say this, but I've just thought about it now. The difference between Norris getting up from 1 point to 23 points is the same as Piastri getting up from 9 points to, well, whatever that is, 22 points. So 31-ish points. So because you don't get Piastri's qualifying points, yes, it would still be the safer option, but there's more of a potential from Norris if you just stuck with him in a race, if you get what I mean, because Piastri's already scored a bulk of his points, unless Piastri goes on to win, but that's also why it's the safer option. But again, like we mentioned, Norris could get driver of the day, fastest lap, all of this malarkey, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, safe bet Piastri, differential Verstappen, risking it, Lando Norris. Where do you really think Lando will finish? For me, I've said in a little chat that I thought he was going to come 5th or 6th. Pushing it, 4th. I generally don't think he'll be on the podium this weekend, because I do think once he gets past the Ferraris, the Williams, the Alpines potentially, well, not the Alpine, then that's... I'm glad someone said that. I'm very glad someone mentioned the Norris potential there as well, because I've been talking about how he could push for 4th. I think he'd be around 5th or 6th. But Flash, Norris going to DNF. That is the other issue, of course. Norris is going to be so angry and so disappointed with himself. He's going to be going crazy at the start. Potentially on a harder compound of tyre. He's going to be risking it, trying to get all of these big position changes. Then he could be the one to DNF. Also, just driver issue. I mean, we saw what he can do in qualifying. Who's to say he doesn't do it in a race? So it's a scary time to have Norris in the team, but I see why you've got to just sometimes
wing it and just hope for the best. Because also sometimes I can be quite stubborn with that. If I had Norris, I'd be sticking with Norris just to be like, no, he's gonna do something in the race. I promise you, I promise. But what's it called? Norris and Piastri are both gonna score 20-ish something on average just from the race. Yeah, so sort of what I was talking about, Forza. So that's why when you final fix, it's a little different because you don't get the qualifying points. Then the points difference doesn't actually end up being anything crazy. Maybe he would start on softs and hope for a safety car. Well, Mike, that's what I was thinking, but I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking it would, because what does everyone think everyone's going to start on? Because I had in my head that most people are going to start on the mediums, go to hards. And then potentially you had Landino on hards, hoping to go long until a safety car, then go onto the medium sort of thing. But there is also that chance of, if he goes softs, goes for a lot of overtakes at the start. Because you remember Bahrain, obviously, bar the actual positioning of his car, because he got a 5-second penalty for that, the start was great. And that was because, a lot of people were on softs. But if he can start on softs, then he would have a better potential for a start. And that's the other strategy, where he goes for like 4 or 5 overtakes at the start and then sits there, goes long on the hard sort of thing. Or he goes hards, holds out, goes long, hopes for a safety car, then goes onto the mediums or the softs. So what I thought, most people would be going on the mediums, and that leaves room for Norris to go a bit differential with it. However, that's the other issue. If he's starting on hards, no way in hell is Norris getting barely any overtakes, which then could screw you over even more. Russell was saying he expects Norris to run with hards first. Yeah. So, along the lines of what I'm thinking, it just sounds like it's like a Hail Mary in it. They've sort of just got to wing it. Or even not just winging it. Like, let's say, because I get, like, Norris and Piastri are in a title fight. But at the end of the day, what's it called? If Norris is on the hards, and let's say Verstappen and Piastri are battling, and Verstappen's ahead of Piastri still after all of these pit stops, they could even use Norris as like a barrier to try and help Piastri get past Verstappen as well. Now, would Norris play the team game? Maybe this early on, but also, wow, how much would that hurt if he was having to do the team game, and then that basically screws over the rest of his race potentially. Right. I hate George, man. He again took pole after right. Joe has got Piastri, Russell, Behrman, Hadjar, Bortoleto, McLaren, Alpine, similar team to mine. Joe, you're living life. It's one of those things where we will be most likely limitlessing in Miami unless I get a crash with, unless one of the Hasses crashes, or or Hadjar or Russell crashes. Maybe I'd still go with it if Russell crashed, because then he could have a good weekend in Miami and then negate it, at least getting minus 0.1 to plus 0.1, and I'd take a equal out over these few races. But realistically, this is the issue I want to bring up again and again, because I love bringing it up, but we have to talk about it for Miami. What's going on here? Didn't trust Lewis, but nervous about Kimi. That ain't happening with the drivers leading. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's quite early on, and who would Norris prefer to win? Would we actually be saying Norris would prefer Verstappen to win? I mean, just from the fact that it wouldn't be McLaren, I don't think they'd be too happy. But fair enough. Yeah, I could see why it's not going to happen. Anyway, right. No, what I was going to talk about. Right. So, Behrman for Miami is safe. He will be going up probably either 0.2 or 0.6 in both Miami and Jeddah. So, I should say Jeddah and Miami, unless he gets a DNF. Hadjar, he needs to do something. Again, he might get a 0.2 million this week, but then next weekend he could get a minus 0.2, equaling out unless he gets anything crazy. Alonso, again, needs a good weekend. Bortoleto doesn't really matter. Ocon, 15 points.
this is where it comes down to it. Ocon, Lawson, Gasly, not really Albon. I'm not going to talk about Albon. Gasly, Lawson, Ocon. These are the guys who could look good for increases in, in Miami. So keep an eye on them, and that's why I did say Gasly, Ocon, even Lawson to an extent. I think I said, I can't really remember much, that Lawson could still be a usable guy. But realistically, but going into my main point that I was trying to talk about from all of this is, even going into Miami, Behrman potentially is the only driver who looks half decent for a price increase. Like, it is that bad. So again, Miami, even when limitlessing, it will be just one of those things where it's like, maintain budget, lose, gain just a little bit more than everyone else normally does, sort of thing. Even if this week is a bit of a points drought, I think a lot of B-tier drivers will rebound next week in Miami. Yeah, so obviously that's the other thing, because it is a sprint race, then hopefully they could do something. But of course, if even with a sprint race, if a lot of drivers get around -5 to 5 points, they're going to need around 10-ish points to get okay points. And is there a way to see the 2024 points? Does anyone know if we can see the stats on F1 Fantasy for 2024? Never mind, found it. Because let's head back to Miami to see all the B-tier drivers that got more than 10 points. Because this is going to show if we need to worry or not worry. Put it into points order. Right, so the GOAT Zhou got over that 10-point threshold. Sonoda did. Ricciardo did. Gasly, Hulkenberg, Ocon. So a lot of them did. So we potentially could be okay. Potentially. If we're going off exactly what happened last season, we could get a bounce back. Bottas sneaks in, I think. Albon would sneak in as well. Who was the bad ones? I mean, Stroll doing strong things over there. Oh, no, of course, and of Sargent. I remember that one. It wasn't actually even Sargent's fault. Wait, was it when Magnussen crashed into Sargent? I believe, if my memory's serving me right. Yeah, no, same here, mate. I just hope Behrman can get 3 points. And realistically, all we need from Behrman is 2 overtakes and just that one extra position, please. If he can do that, I'll be quite happy. We'll see, though. We'll see. I trusted Alonso too much for first 3 races, and he took 2. Oh, my gosh. Ouch. That has got a sting. Wait, Oz, I've got to ask you, what's your budget sitting at the minute with those Alonso issues? I would have been straight off of him after Australia, I think. What are your thoughts on Ocon recovery? Not too excited about the Ocon recovery unless they do some crazy Haas magic, like they're pretty much... Actually, you know what? So yeah, yes, I am actually excited for Ocon's potential, because Haas are going to do something crazy again, probably stick Ocon on the hards or some crap, and he actually is going to get a safety car. I would not be surprised if that happened, and then my man was in like 11th or 12th, and then we're all sitting pretty with Ocon. That could happen as well. Alright. I think Monaco may be best for Limitless, because Imola doesn't have many overtakes, and the best drivers for budget won't change much between Imola and Monaco. Wait, hang on, Forza, sorry. I don't know if I'm getting that confused, but isn't... I'm confused there. I'm confused with what you mean with that comment about Monaco being better than Imola, because wouldn't they be similar because they don't have many overtakes? If you get what I mean, sort of thing. 103, okay, that's all right. 103, you're still at least over 100 million. Bear in mind, can I actually bring something up as well? Because obviously this, I just want to show to you a sort of team that like a casual like F1 Fantasy player would use, which wouldn't look terrible, of course. So basically, if anyone doesn't know, Team 2 and Team 3, I sort of just set up at the start of the year and I don't change them. That is why you've got these crazy weird teams. But let's say if a casual had Piastri, Leclerc, Russell, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Alpine, Racing Bulls, you know their budget would be 99.7. They'd still be below 100 million. And this is the issue, because then you've got all of us, and again, it's not against the rules, and we're just doing what we have to be good at F1 Fantasy. But all of us are now sitting at like 105 plus million. I mean, some people are already at 110 million in budget. And that 10 million is such a difference in points. Yeah, as you can tell, I love the 3-point average. I just love it. Yeah, I'm thinking Ocon might just pull something off. Yeah, it's the Haas magic. You know what I mean? I thought it would disappear. And I thought the Haas magic... what's it called? Yeah, Forza, sorry, I just saw your comment. Yeah, I know. I was quite happy with myself with that one. What's it called? What was I saying? Yeah, Ocon, right. I thought Hulkenberg would take his magic and bring it over to Sauber, as in the fact that he would get like some crazy results. And he almost had that. If we go back to the stats, he almost had that. Where was it? He almost had it in... Where's Hulkenberg? He had it in Australia, and he almost had it in Bahrain. So he sort of is keeping that magic. But look at this. The Haas magic is ridiculous. How does Behrman and Ocon have an average of... Pardon me. How do they have an average of 12 points? Sorry, pardon me. Oosh. Alonso sitting on a minus 6.8 is also brilliant. Right. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I got a little sidetracked. I get what Forza is saying. There will not be some new driver you have to get that will rise 0.6 million. Oh, I see. Right. Yes. Hang on. So for Limitless, because doesn't have many. Right. Yes, I see. Yeah. So you're talking about transfers. Yeah. Okay, I get you. Yeah. That would make sense, but again, beware that even by Monaco, which is race 8, you will start seeing teams running Piastri, Antonelli, McLaren, Mercedes. Getting closer to that Limitless, so the longer you hold out on it, the longer we're going to get. And that's why I also said it's a bit of an issue, because the next sprint race is in Spa. But come race 13, bear in mind we're talking about having... Piastri, Antonelli by Monaco or Imola, sort of. No, not Imola, my bad. Potentially around Monaco, Spain time. 4 races ahead, we could then be seeing teams with the likes of Piastri and, I don't know, Piastri Hamilton, Piastri Leclerc, Piastri Russell, whatever that sort of thing is. Yeah. And I like how we know, Mike said this in my bike stream, that would take 113.5 million. Some people are only 3.5 million off that right now. And bear in mind, even on the maintaining budget weekends, we can still get around, let's just say 1.5 million. So 1.5 million, 1.5 million, and that's being generous. That's being pessimistic on Miami, saying 1.5 million increase. 1.5 million. 4.5 million extra. Someone has 114.5. Now again, the driver prices will change, so potentially that will just be off of it. But by having 114.5 million by Imola time, you're going to be seeing some of those sorts of teams, sort of thing. Yeah. Also, I've just seen someone say Stroll ahead of Leclerc. Hey, Stroll's the GOAT. What do you mean? No surprises there. Flash asks, why do you think Limitless is better on a sprint weekend versus non-sprint? Because the B drivers will get more than the A drivers for sprint. Right, so I'll go back to the 2024 and show exactly why. Because, actually, I'll show Bahrain, for instance. And it is one of those things where, you know, it's not going to be exactly the same, is it? Because things change. But Bahrain... 45 points, 30 for 38, 32, 31. Decent enough. You know, you had a couple of the bad drivers going down. It's just look at this. Just look at this. If it wants to load, my Wi-Fi's doing Wi-Fi things. I know. And I know it's not as crazy as it could be. And that's Miami, where I'll show some that were even better. Top 5. If you had all 5 of these boys in your team, sitting pretty. And then most people did have Tsunoda and Zhou. But even that difference, pretty good. Hang on. Look at sprint races only. Verstappen, 58 points in China. Russell, 43 points. With the Norris Verstappen incident, would have been different. US, Leclerc, Sainz, both over 40 points. Lawson, only 20. Brazil, again, doesn't really help my point, but Brazil was crazy. And also Zhou. Zhou on 27. That's my guy. That is my guy. Yeah, by the way, that is because Max got, what did he get? Driver of the day, fastest lap. 17th to first. 25 points for coming first. That was crazy. I remember that was a ridiculous race. Oh, my bad, Flash. My bad. I see exactly what you mean. I wonder how I would be able to get that up. So if I went like that, save. Right, hang on. Let me show you. Yeah. My bad. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, hang on. That still seems off. Sprint race. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, no, that is right. So, in the sprint. Hang on. Yeah, no, that is right. It just seems like way too much. Look how many points you get extra in the sprint. Verstappen, 20. Perez, 14. Leclerc, 11. Sainz, 10. Miami. Verstappen, Tsunoda. I mean, yeah, well, this one was a little bit crazy because of Norris's minus 20. So it doesn't really help my point there. Austria, Norris, 11 extra points. Piastri, 9. Verstappen, 9. Leclerc, 9. All of these big boys teams going over to China. Do I have quali points? No, I got rid of the quali points. Yeah, take care, Mike. I will be here for probably about another 5-ish minutes. Yeah, no, Flash, those are just the sprint race points. See, even if we go over... I know, that's what I thought as well, though. I thought that seemed a bit high. I thought it'd be lower than that, but... Yeah, Perez, 18, what? Oh, we got fastest lap, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. And then even if we go to 2025, let me filter out all of it, bar the sprint points. Right, sprint, yeah. Oh, my bad. Hang on. No. That didn't change nothing. Because that was pit stops, so nothing to do with these drivers. And I was hold up. I haven't even been showing the constructors as well, which is the main thing that you gain a lot of points from all of this. So look, Ferrari 16, Red Bull 16, Mercedes 11, McLaren 9. McLaren really screwed that one up, didn't they? Lawson the GOAT 11. Gasly as well 12. So there's a lot of points on offer just from the sprint race ones, and it's been one of those things where last season it showed a bit better why I was always on that, but I could also I mean like I said, I'm not off using it at Imola, even potentially at Monaco. I think if I didn't use it at Miami, it would be Imola. The only issue is, again, if you used it at Imola, then you'd have to set up your Miami team for not getting points, which could hurt a little bit more because, like we saw, more points on offer. Unless you've got Haas, who apparently are just brilliant, then you've got a little bit to worry about, sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, right. So what is the gist of everything I said there? Someone running max 2 times alone scored 150 plus points. Yeah, I know. It was insane, by the way. Absolutely insane. I remember watching that race and just being so gobsmacked how everything just went wrong. Well, no, not sorry. That's me being pessimistic. Everything went right for Max. It was, and hang on again. No, that sounds bad as well. Not everything went right. He was perfect, so everything went right for him, sort of thing. It was ridiculous. It was one of the craziest races I think I've seen for a while, and I don't think that will be topped anytime soon, unless they run it back for 2025. That could be interesting. We could see. I've just realised I've got all of that up as well. Right, Orzaz, how much budget do people build at the end of the year, on average, and maximum? At the end of the year, it's normally just whatever. So at the end of the year, people will have let's say they have two 8-year drivers, two 8-year constructors. So you're most likely going to be getting 0.3 for all of them. So 0.3, 0.6, 0.9, 1.2. And then your B-tier drivers, there will be 3 of them. So 0.6, 1.8, 2.4. So you could still build decent budget with that. That's around 3-ish million you could increase in budget. However, the further we get into the season, the more I could potentially be risking it a bit more. Like, let's say Gasly still looks good and he's due a minus 0.2. I could still be risking it and go, you know what? However, we're getting to that point where it doesn't matter too much. You could just stick it out on Gasly instead of going for a Hulkenberg, who, you know, is going to get 5 points but get 0.6, compared to a Gasly who could get like 15 points and get minus 0.2 or plus 0.2 sort of thing. What's your predictions for fastest lap, correct? For me, fastest lap, I'm being genuinely serious right now when I say, in my head, it's going to be either, it's still going to be one of the McLaren boys. If Norris starts on hards, and for anyone who is watching the telly right now, because I haven't got it on me, if Norris is on hard so that you can see, I do think Norris will get fastest lap because he would go onto mediums at the end of the race. And if he just has a little bit of clean air, he will get the fastest lap. Again, no. I also think it would be Piastri because I do think Piastri will get past Verstappen and he'll have clean air. And if Norris can't find clean air, then it would end up with Piastri getting it. So it will still be, crazily enough, most likely one of the McLarens. Now, again, for fastest pit stops, anyone's guess, honestly. I think Red Bull will do better this weekend for that sort of thing. McLaren always do okay. Mercedes haven't been too bad, I actually don't think, on pit stop points. Actually, who has been the best on pit stop points this season so far? Let me get up the stats. Because I believe it might not even be one of the... It might be Ferrari, innit? If we get rid of boom... If we get all of that and race fastest pit stops, race over... Just the pit stop points... No, how do I make it the top dog? Ferrari 4 times. Oh yeah, Ferrari in, oh, of course, bar the China, apparently. Yeah, they got the DSQ, my bad, yeah. Then, but you know what? Mercedes, yeah, not terrible. McLaren, not terrible. VCARB, brilliant in China. Yeah, I remember because also, me and Adam talking about this because we were like so jammy. Let me bring you back to China. And I haven't actually got it selected, but it should let me just show exactly what I'm going to be showing here. Everyone remember... Norris gaining. I don't even know how he managed to get it. I don't know what lap he did it on, but Norris fastest lap after Hamilton got disqualified as well. Meaning Norris got 41 points to Piastri's 45. And I remember being so jammy because it shouldn't have been that close. Piastri should have got about 10, 20 points more than Norris. And we should have been very disappointed with having Norris, and all of a sudden we were sitting pretty with no Ferrari, no Gasly, and Piastri didn't even matter too much. But right, my God, I've just seen the time, everyone. So you know what? I'll give a new updated top 3. Bear in mind, I've still got my F1 predicts top 3 and all of that stuff, but I'll give a new one after quali. New top 3 is Piastri, Verstappen, Russell. If you want the top 5, I do think it will be someone like, I don't think Antonelli, maybe Antonelli. No. I'm going to be still optimistic for Leclerc, Norris, top 5. Fastest lap, I'm going to go with Lando because I do think he'll start on hards, go on to the mediums. And if anyone else does that, if anyone does that, even just with him being in the McLaren, he'll still get it over them. So let's say a Haas did it, like an Ocon. I do think Ocon could sneak in a good result, which would be quite crazy because me and because, you know, that Haas magic always strikes. Behrman did well last year. I mean, he was in a Ferrari, so it's very different. We'll see what happens there. But fastest lap on Norris. So, yeah, I still think Piastri is going to win the race. I think he'll be leading the championship after the end of this race. What else is there? Last place. Who was last? Was it Bortoletto? I'll stick with Bortoletto being last. I don't think he's going to do much. I mean, he could have a DNF. How many DNFs will there be? I still think there'll be 2. One crash potentially at the start of the race, and one driver issue or mechanical issue in the middle of the race. So that means potentially 1 safety car. But that is all the predictions I think for now. I do think potentially I'll have to be doing this ice bucket challenge that I said I'd do, because I don't think Ferrari are getting on the podium. After what I've seen, I don't think they are. So be very, keep an eye out for that video, because that will be coming out on Monday, maybe. I think I'm not doing too much on Monday. I think I could sneak in having some ice thrown over me with some water, which would be really nice. I think Ferrari cars are going to equal Mercedes cars in performance at some point. Yeah, I do agree. I still think that Ferrari have a bigger potential for development with all they've been chatting. They just need to get it right. So we could see exact same thing as what happened in 2024, where Ferrari sort of dwindled off a bit because their upgrades didn't start working. And then we come back to around the midway point of the season, and Ferrari are must-have picks again because they're battling with McLaren. I'm hoping they can do that, because it is nice seeing Ferrari at least battling with McLaren. I prefer it when McLaren win the battle, but it's always nice seeing them there. Build something for me on 103 transfer. Norris, Haas, not Haas, but they are down there. Norris, Hadjar, Ocon, Behrman, Doohan, McLaren, Haas. Well, there's not much you can really do at the minute, Oz, with 103. I'd say, realistically, because you are trying to focus on budget, you really do want to go down to Piastri, just because, unless Norris does something crazy for Miami. Hadjar, again, keep an eye out on what he does, because you might have to be swapping down to someone like Bortoletto if Hadjar only gets around 4 or 5 points this weekend. Behrman, 100% keep. Doohan, if you have enough points, budget, go up to a Gasly. Keep McLaren, keep Haas. You're sitting pretty, at least for Miami. But anyway, everyone, I will call it a day here. Thank you all so much for watching. Oh, whoops, I just bashed it. Bit of an unorthodox one again, but I will be back live because there's 2 weeks till the next race. So we've got a 1 week break. I will do when I get back a Monday, like a post-race talk about F1 Fantasy and all of that stuff. So I will do that because I know we've got a bit of a break. So I don't think a fan app video will be going out probably until Saturday, Sunday. And then obviously I won't be making an F1 Fantasy video till so not next week, but the week after that, Friday. So I'll keep you all updated with my initial thoughts on Monday. I'll give a better time because I think I'll be driving back. I'll give you a better time when that will be. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the race. Make sure if anything crazy happens in F1 Fantasy, don't let it affect you too much. Try to enjoy the racing a lot because we're trying to have fun. And I know, because I'm the same, that if something happens crazy in the race and it affects my F1 Fantasy team, like a DNF, I get annoyed. Just try not to let it affect you like that. But anyway, hopefully nothing like that's going to happen to us. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and you're about to see my OBS actually, so we're going to get the mirror effect. Oh my gosh, such an in-depth stream. But anyway, I'll see you all later.